Welcome to the Football Roundup with your host, Randy Silver on Randy Silver TV, where we dive into the biggest sports stories from the global game daily. Today we have your midweek, August 24th recap. What are we going to go over today? So much. England, Spain, Germany, France, Italy, North America, Saudi Arabia, UEFA Champions League, Europa League. We go over match reviews, standings, transfers, storylines, injuries, games, and so much more. We have a lot to go over today, so let's dive into it. First and foremost, the biggest news happened last night. Messi Magic is alive and well in Cincinnati. Messi won the Leagues Cup. We have that video for you on the channel. Go look it up. Now they're in the US Open Cup semifinal where they played Cincinnati in Cincinnati, and they won that game on penalties. They made all five. Cincy made four. Miami made their fifth. Cincy missed their fifth, and Miami moves on to the finals where they're going to play Houston, who won last night as well. That game's end of September. We have a whole recap here. Messi did not score a goal. First game not scoring, but he had two fantastic assists, and he really saved this game for Miami. So go check out our full recap. It's popping up here, or it's in the bio. The other big thing that's happened, we talked about this on our end of weekend recap, the Women's World Cup, but there's been a lot of controversy since that recap that's come out. There's anger, a lot of anger in Spain after Spain's FA soccer chief, so the leader of the Spanish Federation, kissed a player during the World Cup ceremony when they were receiving their medals. So you can see here, they're giving a hug. Look here on the right, the gentleman is bald next to hugging the player 11, then grabs the back of the head and kisses her. This was the only player he did this to. In the locker room after the game, after the whole ceremony, Hermosa, who's a player, said, "I didn't like it." She was shown the video and photo of the kiss, and she says, "What do I do? Look at me. Look at me." This does not bode well. This is taking away from what Spain achieved in winning the World Cup. No one's really talking about the game. All they're talking about is this controversy after, which is not fair to the Spanish women team. They played an amazing tournament, and they deserve to receive recognition for what they achieved, not this controversy. The same individual right here, when they were celebrating, you can see the gentleman, the bald guy again, he's grabbing his male genitalia area, and he gave a hip thrust motion out into the crowd. So again, another act that is deplorable and something you shouldn't see. We saw this in the Men's World Cup when the Argentina goalie did the same thing when he got his award. He got a lot of flack, getting a lot of flack here as well. So what are some of the fallout? The Spanish government and the World Players Union first condemned the behavior of Luis Rubiales on Monday. The Soccer Federation then tried to downplay the incident through a statement and later released a video in which Rubiales apologized. He says it was totally spontaneous mutual gesture due to the immense joy of winning a World Cup. Hermosa said in a statement, it was totally spontaneous mutual gesture due to the immense joy of winning the World Cup. The president and I have a great relationship. His behavior with all of us has been excellent, and it was a natural gesture of affection and gratitude. Seems like she's trying to cover up for him a little bit. This has created a lot of frustration that it's not being taken seriously enough. Rubiales said, when you're president of an institution as important as a federation, you have to be more careful. So he acknowledges, probably not the best move, but not taking full responsibility. There's calls for him to be losing his position, lose his job. He comes from a class of soccer executives. His dad or mom, his parents were soccer executives in Spain. So we'll keep you updated on future football roundups with how this goes. It won't go away. Ready? 2, 1. The Champions is about to be back. Right now we have UEFA Champions League, UEFA Europa League, and UEFA Conference League qualifications happening right now. We're in the final stages before we get to the round of 32 group stages. So these are doing a home and away leg. The winner of this will move into Champions League. The loser of this will fall out into Europa League. So what are the big games here to make note of? I used to live in Copenhagen, so I do follow them pretty closely. FC Copenhagen beat Czech Republic, excuse my name there, saying it, 1-0. Rangers tied PSV Eindhoven 2-2. Pretty well contested game. You look down, Galatasaray won 3-2. So we have the return leg next week. Of course, you come back here and we'll have the recap for you. Pretty intense here. vying for a spot in Champions League. The draw for the Champions League group stage will be August 31st. So August 30th, August 29th will be the final Champions League, and then you get the draw to move into the group stages. UEFA Europa and Conference League. You can see here for UEFA Europa League, here are the games that are happening. Again, this is home and away to make sure they can get into the Europa League draw. Any noteworthy games here for you? Ajax won 4-1, which is good. You have Olympiacos, who won 3-1 as well. If you move to the next slide, here are more games. Fiorentina, who was in the finals and lost 1-0, rapid win. Big surprise here, biggest surprise probably. They will need to turn this around next week, of course. If you look, keep going down. Lille won 2-1. People know that team. Club Brugge won 2-1. So good to see that these teams are being successful here. England. There's been some big transfer news of late with England. The biggest news probably is coming from Manchester City. One, their defender Laporte is going to Al Nassr FC in Saudi Arabia. Fee is £28 million, and that contract is for 3 years. He never really hit his heights in Man City. He was there in the starting lineup when he first came, fell out, and never got back in. Kind of shocking to see him potentially go back to Spain, but get that money. City's had some injury issues to start the season, and they've lost some players. They lost Mahrez in midfield, so they got Doku to come through to be able to replace Mahrez. He's young, he's fast, he will be molded by Pep into an amazing player. Look how long the contract is. The contract is 5 years. Fee they're paying is £60 million for him, coming over from Rennes in France. Those are the two big transfers are happening. The transfer deadline September 1st, so do expect more transfers to come through as well the next 7 days. Other transfers that have happened, Aaron Ramsey, not the Aaron Ramsey you're thinking of, a different one, Aston Villa to Burnley, and the other players here are a little bit younger players. The other big news that broke today, Mohamed Salah leaving Liverpool to Al Ittihad will offer him in Saudi Arabia a salary making the highest paid player in Saudi Pro League. Mo Salah is Egyptian. He is Muslim. To go play in the Middle East would just be massive for him, for the area, the fans to see that. I'm sure there's some inclination by Mo Salah to play. He's probably not ready yet. He's still performing very well for Liverpool. He wants to be there. So we'll see if he will stay or he'll go. At Liverpool, he earns £350,000 a week. Saudi Arabia, he would earn more than £350 a day. But if he leaves this year or next year, he'll get the same amount most likely. So no rush to need to leave yet when he's still a high performer. Liverpool has said they're clear. They don't want to lose Mo Salah. They're not going to negotiate. So we'll see if Mo Salah tries to force something out. In the first game of the season, he got subbed out in the 75th-ish minute. He was not happy. We took off his tape, threw it on the field. So maybe there is some discontent there. So we will keep you updated here on Futbol Round-Up how that turns out. Some injuries. Luke Shaw is out for Manchester United a number of weeks. He had a muscle injury strain, unfortunately. There's 2 games, and then there is the England break. He does get called up to England sometimes, so probably won't be playing for England. Ideally, he's back in 3 to 4 weeks when the international break is up. Some other transfers that are not quite done yet, but they're about to happen. 2 from Arsenal. Real Sociedad, a close agreement with Arsenal to sign Kieran Tierney on loan. No option to buy, but they will get a fee and full wages paid. He will travel there over the weekend. 26-year-old will be playing regular games and in Champions League, where at Arsenal he wasn't getting much, and he's young enough he can come back to Arsenal. The big one, if you're a USA fan, Monaco are close to reaching agreement with Arsenal to sign striker Forlan Boulan. Clubs are still negotiating final price, but the 22-year-old is now on course to be their main striker. He will be there for the foreseeable future and get first-team reps. They're putting the offer around 45 million euros, which is whoo. I mean, he was a massive scorer in France last season, top 5 scorer in the league. Hasn't played a lot in the EPL, but for us on the US, we want to see him get first rep minutes, first team minutes, and he will get that, which is great. Here is your table. We went over the games on Monday already, so nothing's changed. There are no midweek games. Here are your games for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Can Chelsea bounce back from their loss to West Ham? They're playing newly promoted Luton Town, so you would hope they would win. Other key games, you have the North London Derby, Arsenal Fulham. You have Everton Wolverhampton. Can Everton come back after being destroyed last week? Man U Nottingham Forest, Old Town rivalry game. And then on Sunday, Newcastle Liverpool is your big game of the weekend. Two teams competing for Champions League spots this season. Some other transfer news for you. Fulham are interested in signing Juventus forward Maurice Keane. He used to be with Everton. He's an international striker for Italy. Has been back with Juve for a couple of seasons. Now maybe coming back. Why would Fulham want him? They let striker Alexander Mitrovic go to Saudi Arabia, so now they have a spot to fill. Bernardo Silva signed a new Manchester City contract. He was in talks potentially to go to Barcelona or PSG during the transfer window during the summer. However, he has re-signed with City. City fans are rejoicing. They need him in midfield right now, especially as they've lost some during the offseason. Mason Mount is injured. He may be back after their international break. Again, another England international player hurt. Another player on a new team that is hurt. So wish him well. Coaching news. Pep Guardiola is to miss Manchester City's upcoming games. Why? He's been suffering some back pain lately. He flew out to Barcelona, got minor back surgery. All was well. In his absence, assistant manager Juanma Lillo will oversee coaching the first team and take over coaching duties. You know they will talk before game, after game, maybe even at halftime. He's been an assistant coach for close to 20 years now. He'll be just fine for 2 games. Who are they playing? Sheffield United and Fulham. Both games that City would be favored to win. And then after the international break, they come back and play West Ham. Still favoring that game, but you think hopefully Pep is back. So we wish Pep well. A lot in England happening. It's going to go a little bit quicker moving forward. We got France. Here's your table. Nothing's changed since we did the football recap over the weekend. Forward looking, here are your games. The big game on Saturday is PSG versus Lens at 3 p.m. Eastern. And then on Sunday, here are your games. The big game would be Nice versus Lyon in France on Sunday. Transfer news, nothing crazy of note here. Nothing of big monetary value. A lot of young players. The one would be Eli Wahi, which we already talked about on the weekend. Germany. Here's your table. All the games were this weekend, so nothing's changed since the weekend. Some injury news. Munich's Jamal Musiala is sidelined with a hamstring injury. He's a German prodigy, young player, sub 21 years old. Been in the midfield for them. He's really been their engine. He got that game-winning goal for them last season that gave him the title. Muscle injury. You're seeing there's a lot of muscle injuries. People coming out of preseason, not used to the pace potentially. So hopefully he gets better. Kane set a new Bayern Munich record. Probably not a record you may think of. It's for the number of jerseys sold. Munich sold more than 13,000 jerseys with Kane's name on the back of the jersey after his day of signing, breaking the record for sales for 2020 Champions League victory against PSG. Here are your forward-looking games for the weekend. Who is Bayern playing? They're playing FC Augsburg on Sunday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Dortmund's playing VfL Bochum at 9:30 a.m. And then you have RB Leipzig versus VfB Stuttgart on Friday to start the weekend. Here are your transfer news. Nothing crazy here to make note of that you would be aware of. One cool thing, Bayern Munich here. They took their annual photo in lederhosens with beer. The one person missing from this is Harry Kane because his wife had their 4th child. Not the end of the world to miss this. Would have been cool to see him in here, but annual team photo. Good marketing event right here. Italia. We got some news here. Here's a table for Italia. Fiorentina in first, and you saw them lose in the Europa League. So interesting there. Juventus, Napoli, AC Milan, rounding out the top 4. Here are your 4 looking games. Milan play Torino. Roma play Hellas Verona. You have Atalanta versus Fiorentina. Fiorentina versus Lecce. Juventus versus Bologna. Napoli versus Sassuolo. And then Cagliari versus Inter would be some of the big names you recognize. Transfer-wise, nothing here would be of crazy note. You can see the values aren't the highest. Valentino Lazar went from Inter to Torino for $6 million. He'll get some good playing time there. Jasper Kirison, market value 18.2 million. AZ Alkmaar over the Bologna, so they're making a nice little splash right there as well. Here are some other transfers for you to be aware of. One game to point out, this happened Monday, so it wasn't in our end of weekend recap. AC Milan beat Bologna 2-0. Captain America Pulisic played a great game. You can see his ratings in the mid-8s. He helped create that first goal for Giroud, and then he got his second goal. Giroud got the assist on that second goal. Their partnership looked really good. You can see the front three was Pulisic, Giroud, and Leao. Good to see Pulisic on the right wing and be able to create. If we look at his stats here, you can see the goal was outside the box. Really good rocket shot. Hard for the goalie to save. He played a fantastic game overall. So great to see. We want to continue to see that out of him as he continues forward. Spain. Here is your table. Nothing's really changed. Forward-looking games. Who are some of the big teams playing? You have Atletico Madrid playing Monday night against Real Valladolid. Barca play Villarreal. That game's always very feisty, so that'll be fun to watch. And on Friday, Celtic Vigo versus Real Madrid. Barcelona, as we know, they have financial issues. That's why Messi had to leave. They've been having trouble trying to register players. So Marco Alonso, Enrique Peña, and Inigo Martinez have not been registered yet, meaning they cannot play. Barca need to find funds or sell players to be able to register them so they can play. And they really need some help on defense, so not having Marco Alonso definitely hurts. One interesting note, cross-pollination. Steve Kerr, head coach of the Golden State Warriors, former NBA player, won titles with the Bulls, won title with the Spurs, now won titles as a coach of the Warriors. He's currently the coach of the U.S. men's basketball team in the FIBA. Also, we'll play in the Olympics next year. Go ahead and look at all my FIBA breakdowns on the Silver Lining same YouTube page. He's joining Real Mallorca as a investor in the club. This club used to be owned by Silver, who was the owner of the Suns. He got pushed out for creating a hostile work environment. He's selling his stake inside the Spanish club as well. So now Kerr has joined. Matt Ishbia is now the new owner of the Suns, just FYI. Another owner of the club, Steve Nash, one of Steve Kerr's good friends. He's also an NBA Hall of Famer. He used to be a consultant for the Warriors coaching staff, so it's great to see him come in and help. And Steve Kerr get in there. Okay, so now we move on to a couple more. Saudi Arabia have to follow with all the record-breaking contracts and people they bring in. Here is your standings. Forward-looking games. Al-Ittihad is Benzema's team versus Al-Riyadh. Al-Hilal is Neymar's team versus Al-Reed. Al-Nasser FC is Ronaldo's team versus Al-Fateh. Here are some transfers coming in. So again, maybe Mo Salah. Alexander Mitrovic, we talked about, left Fulham. And you can see these market values, 29 million, 29 million, 20 million, 56 million, just wild. One note that came out earlier was Benzema is not wanted by coach Nuno Espirito Santo in Saudi Arabia. This would be breaking. One, Benzema is also Muslim, so he's big to be out there. The fans love him. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia want him in there. But for the coach to say, you know, the old Ballon d'Or winner is not the guy you want, is USA, Canada, Mexico. So now that the League Cup is over, the MLS is back. They had some games over the weekend. Here are your standings. Again, the top 9 make the playoffs. This isn't like the regular season best seed team wins it all. They go to the playoffs. So Inter Miami have not played in the MLS yet with Messi because they had the U.S. Open Cup against Cincinnati. Their first MLS game got postponed. They're playing the New York Red Bulls, and that will happen this upcoming weekend. Here's the Western brackets as well, so you can see the breakdown. Here are the forward-looking games. We got some tasty games on Saturday. If you're an MLS fan, you can sit in front of a TV and have some fun. One news and coaching-wise, Portland Timbers part ways with head coach Giovanni Savarese. Assistant coach Miles Joseph will take over on an interim basis. Quote, Gio has been an exceptional coach for the Timbers and enjoy to work with. Owner Matt Paulson said in release, he has achieved some fabulous results during his tenure with the club, including 2 MLS Cup appearances and MLS's Back Championship. MLS's Back Championship was a tournament that happened right when COVID happened, when they all came back to play in the bubble. Rest of the world news. Yesterday was the Asian Champions League Cup, so the group players are about to come in. You can see here that Al Nassr won. That is Ronaldo's team, so they were playing in the Asian Champions League Cup. Great for Ronaldo to get even more exposure there. Him and Mane did not score. If you see here, they were down. They went up 1-0, then tied 1-1, went down 2-1. They got a goal to make it 2-2 in the 88th minute and went on to win the game in stoppage time. So what a crazy, dramatic game. Just kind of like here with Inter Miami FC Cincinnati. Here are your group stages for the AFC Champions League. One thing to note, Al Hilal, which is Neymar's team, will be playing in Iran, playing in India, and Uzbekistan. So Neymar is going to India. You know those fans are going to be wild and supporting and be super, super excited for being able to see him there. So overall, that is your football roundup for midweek, August 24th. What a week it is. This is only Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So much news. European football is back. We're in the full swing of things for all the domestic competitions. Champions League, Europa League, intercontinental competitions coming back. MLS is back. That Leagues Cup is over. That is coming down to the back half of the season. We'll have playoffs, and we just have the transfer deadline coming up. Injuries are here. The World Cup qualifying will be up. So much news, so much football to round up for you here. That's why we give this to you on Sundays and Mondays when we drop it, and then the midweek around Thursday as well. My name is Randy Silver. Thank you for watching. Please comment your thoughts, and then go ahead and subscribe to Football Roundup so we can keep you updated and you know when this stuff drops. Out. Enjoy the games this weekend, and we'll talk to you Sunday.